And that's something we hear from young people all the time. We host in Henrico a Student Government Day. And so with the diversity that we've had to just over the last several years, 136 languages spoken in Henrico County Public Schools. Not sure how many in Richmond and Chesterfield, but I know the definitely the demographics in each of our areas has shifted completely. So when we think about not just healthy foods, but healthy practices and cultural, foods and cultural practices. So I would say that to you as we're thinking about who could be a guest around, thinking about how we can be more conscious about how we're living in our city, is to provide that opportunity for some of our folks with diverse backgrounds.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on Mike King Biz Radio Network on ESPN Richmond 106.1 and Choice 105.3. Welcome to America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. I'm your host, Will Melton, and today in the studio I have Chloe Carter, Monica Smith Callahan, and Jordan DePina. We're here to talk about Teen Summit, which is coming up on the 24th of February, and this is super exciting, so I'm really thrilled to have you all here. But before we get started, if this is your first time joining the program, please visit americashealthiestcity.com to learn about our 10-year community partnership to make the entire region, not just Richmond, the healthiest in America by 2033. You can see our ideas board, add your ideas, add your comments to others' ideas, and if you represent a nonprofit, a business, a for-profit, or a government agency, and you want to become an ambassador to this program, you can learn about what it takes to do that as well. So without further ado, ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I'm so excited to have this conversation. I was a part of Teen Summit last year. Thanks for the opportunity to do that. I think we had a positive impact, and I want to have the opportunity to really highlight this in a bigger way this year. So before we really get into the experience, I just want to talk about the foundations of this. And
Sure.
This is a first of its kind event for young people. So I'll give it to either one of you to start off, and just if you would mind share a little bit about what your work background is, so everybody knows who it is that's putting this thing on.
Sure. So I'll start. I'll take that one since I brought the idea to the region. Will, it was really in response to what was happening with our young people coming out of the pandemic. They were, many of them were out of school for a year and a half, some 2 years, who took the rest of the second year before they went back to school following the pandemic. And what we saw was, looking at data, we were having occurrences we were seeing on the news, it playing out with guns, with gun violence in our schools that was spilling over into the community. Then what was happening in our community was spilling over into our schools. Our young people were coming into our local CSBs, our mental health facilities, citing substance abuse, citing anxiety, depression. The social isolation just took a toll on some of our young people. And in response to that, what we were seeing and hearing on the news and what we knew that was happening in our school divisions, I took to my counterparts. I serve as the deputy county manager for community affairs in Henrico County. And in each of our area localities, surrounding localities, we all have human services functions. So we meet monthly to discuss what is happening from everything from homelessness to the opioid crisis, to just how we collaborate and how we come together. So as a region. So in one of our meetings, I brought the idea of a regional gathering to allow for teens, us to be able to hear from our teens as to what it is that we as their local government can do to better support them around the issues and the topics that we were starting to see. And just wanted to know if there were political will for us to be able to move forward with a regional effort like this. And indeed it was. And so from there birthed the idea of Teen Summit RVA, for youth by youth, and an opportunity to hear teens. Chloe always uses the term, we talk about kids, we talk around kids, but we weren't talking to kids. So how do we hear their voices? How do we get information directly from them? It's to ask them. And so that's what Teen Summit RVA was all about, is asking the questions hearing their voices, giving them a platform. But it wasn't just negative either, right? It was an opportunity coming out of the pandemic for them to come together and just be, to have great experiences, to do art, a mix of art, entertainment. It just really birthed something that brought about opportunities for learning and engagement, but also for fun and connectivity in a way that young people in this area had not been exposed to.
Thanks for that. Hopefully she didn't take all of your words.
Not quite all of them, but she did, mention a few great points. We are curating this Teen Summit experience to hear students' voices. One of the bases of community development is really going to the population that you aim to serve and helping them navigate their problems by talking to them and hearing what they have to say. Last year we had sessions, like Monica mentioned, around art and impact, photography, spoken word, but also mental health, the impact on violence in schools. So as the youth community engagement coordinator in Chesterfield County, one of my missions is really to empower students and give them the opportunity to be the change that they want to see in their communities.
So I can't help but to think that neither one of your roles is education primarily, but I'm struck by the innovation here. This is really, really positive. I also know that there were a number of partners that came together to make this happen, so we'll talk to them in a little bit, but I do want to take a moment, and George, give you the chance to just tell us a little bit about, maybe for those listening who are going to be coming, or maybe consider this for next year, if there's next year, hopefully there's next year, what was your anticipation going into it? Kind of what was your feelings? What were you thinking about? Were you nervous? Were you excited? What did you think?
So last year was my first year going, of course, and I was a 9th grader, and I was new to my school, so I hadn't really met anyone, new to me as well. So to be able to meet people that were, new from my school and be able to, connect with them was very fun, along with other people from other schools around the county. So it was just, I didn't have any expectations going into it. It was just very exciting to be able to see new experiences, I guess, from my peers around me.
So you had the opportunity to immerse yourself in this experience. You've now been in Richmond for a whole other year. What do you think that experience gave to you, and how have you been able to, live your life for the last year in a better way?
I think that just being able to connect with new peers of mine, I was able to connect better, I guess, with more people. A lot of my shyness kind of went away when it comes to meeting new peers of mine. So I think that this summit overall was very impactful for other teens as well, just to be able to meet new people.
So I want to go back and talk a little bit about the experiences that are curated for this. I know that there are a number of partners, and we'll talk to you in a minute about what you like the most. But, some of my favorite people are involved in this, whether it's, Hamilton Glass and the art component, or, just so many people that are impactful in the community who volunteered their time to be there. So tell us a little bit about how you find those partnerships, who we can expect to see this year.
Yeah, so we put out a lot of asks to community members who are in leadership roles around the region to be a part of this, and really we give them the basis or the theme that the students want to know about. So we put out a survey and asked students, what do you want to talk about during this Teen Summit? What's important to you? And then we used our connections to find people that could maybe meet that goal in terms of creating a workshop around that. So we approached people like Kelly Lemon, who is a big personality in the region, of course Hamilton Glass, but also some community members like Terrell Artis, who is a phenomenal photographer in the region. Other people like Zenobia Bay, who's been doing spoken word and helping students really find their voices in that avenue. So we reached out to these community members who are already doing great work and put the theme or the session workshops in front of them and let them kind of decide how they wanted to do it. We wanted to make sure that it was engaging, it was interactive, and something that the students could really take away some practical tools and skills to be able to utilize outside of the summit.
And I think beyond, just to go a little further, the way Chloe and her fellow co-chair who created the programs or worked with these community leaders to create the programs that the teens will experience on the 24th is this whole aspect of not just facilitating discussions. It is an opportunity for creating an experience where young people feel empowered to lend their voices, to be a part of this. It's a mix of facilitation, but also some hands-on, as you heard with some of the speakers that we have. One of the sessions that Chloe didn't speak about was first gen. So thinking about our young people who are first generation Americans and some of the issues or opportunities even that they may be able to share with one another or to have kindred or relatable experiences to share in that session. That's empowering in and of itself to know that I'm not the only one so I might be a Richmond City School student who's first generation having in a session with a Henrico first gen or Chesterfield first gen, and to understand that we share some of the same experiences. There's power in that. It's confirmation, it's affirmation, but it's also uplifting and makes a young person feel as though they are not alone in those experiences.
So Jordan, I want to give you a chance to talk about maybe one or two of the sessions that you attended that you really loved, but maybe also share something about how maybe refreshing is not the word you would choose, but what does it feel like to be heard, to actually have this opportunity to share your ideas?
I think that it was really, I guess you could say, refreshing how we were able to give feedback at the end of the summit and be able to be brought back the next year to be able to, I guess, input our ideas as well. And so we all had a meeting from different teams of us, like around different schools, and we were able to just put in our inputs about like what we could have gift bags wise and just what like new sessions we could bring in. So I think that was very good, and I think that the feedback at the end of last year helped a lot for, I guess, the creators of this to be able to better understand us, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And anything that you're particularly looking forward to as we get into it, since you have experienced this once before?
I don't really have any expectations. I'm just excited to be able to see like what we're going to have this year.
And one of the things that you mentioned, Monica, is this idea of coming together. And so this is 3 different school systems that are all coming together. And you guys have, from what I understand, doubled the size of the event this year. It was 300 kids last year. It's 600 this year. Is that right?
That's correct. Okay.
So tell us a little bit about, maybe you can speak to this. I know you were new, but what was it like to be able to hear from folks that don't go to your school or that, are experiencing things in other parts of the community?
It was interesting because due to the different schools that we all go to, we all have different environments that we're around in different neighborhoods. So it was interesting to be able to see what people from Henrico High School had to say versus people from Hermitage, if you would say.
And any particular motivation for that? I mean, it could have just as easily been done in Henrico or any school system alone. Why bring everybody together for this day?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was intentional. It was across jurisdictional lines because what our young people are experiencing, and then for some of our scholars like Jordan who are doing amazing things, it is an opportunity for them to come and to shine. We were just talking about football and our experiences playing and being a part of a band or being on a team sport. You play each other in the region, and so we've come across each other in sports and in band and maybe debate team or forensics or different things like that. But those are school led, very structured. Even though this has structure and it is school led or school supported, it still is a different feel for our young people to be able to have the ability to just connect, to just have conversation, to be in these experiences, that some being led, facilitated wise, but then a art installation that might bring 2 people together from across the river who never met, but just starting to chip away on an art installation together in the hallway and create a bond or a connection that it might be continuing today, a year later, and looking forward to seeing each other again at this year's Teen Summit.
Yeah, networking is a big part of what we aim to do this year, but also we understand that the challenges are not singular in one part of the region or another. We understand that what's going on with our youth is happening everywhere. And so why not bring them together to be able to talk to them all at one time and empower them and let them know that outside of what's going on in their communities, you have a future, you have a voice. We are empowering you to really be what you want to be and find the connections to maybe things that you haven't had the opportunity to explore before.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. Today in the studio, we are talking about Teen Summit with Chloe Carter, Jordan DePina, and Monica Smith Callahan. We are super excited about this event, Saturday the 24th of February at the Convention Center. Big deal. You guys had a ton of media presence last year to tell this story and to break the news to the community that this is of interest of adults. Adults want to hear from kids. What an amazing, innovative idea. So let's talk about impact, because that's obviously the reason why you're doing it. I know that there are some very important topics discussed at this, from substance abuse to mental health. Tell us a little bit about what you maybe have seen and outcomes from holding this last year, and maybe what you hope to see as you continue down the road.
I think with our event, so we're collecting a lot of data from the students as well, so they get an opportunity to share their opinions and perspectives on each of the sessions that we're having. And then we also have a survey for them on the entire event to not only, let us know what they're thinking and what they're going through, but also to inform our programming so that we can change and grow with what is happening in the community and not just staying stagnant. So that's a huge part of what we're doing, and really one of the goals, that we really use this information and use our time with these students to inform our future programming.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that Meta is that data partner, that data sponsor. We've been working with VCU Merck, the Metropolitan Education Research Consortium, with VCU, and to have this data evaluation created, a piece that speaks to each of the experiences that our young people were in, as Chloe just mentioned. So having the data compiled as they're exiting these experiences, and then having an overall event or full day exit survey that then we can share with partners. For me, it was never a thing of we're going to have VCU collect all this data and then only the three localities who are putting this on will have the data to inform our work. No, it's been shared far and wide. It's last week it was shared with Louisiana as they are thinking about how the Louisiana Community Foundation comes together to partner with their local school divisions, the same way our community foundation, being our title sponsor of this event, has come together with our school divisions and local governments to put on this event. So it was always the intention that the data that comes out of this gets shared far and wide. Boys and Girls Clubs, Henrico County PAL, Police Athletic League, the number of partners that have been able to use the data that came out of this as they are building their teen programming. A lot of them shifting from elementary after school programming to what does that look like for working with teens and young adults on a workforce development mindset, to which workforce development is also a huge part of Teen Summit RVA as well.
So Jordan, you're obviously there to learn, you're there to share. You are a student at Deep Run High School, and you're not going to be there forever, so you've got some steps to take. What did you learn about other people and yourself that maybe was different from before Teen Summit and after Teen Summit? Any kind of direction that you're starting to form in your mind about what you want to do?
I know that a lot of the sessions that I attended personally consisted of things like how would you be able to connect with people and talk to people through our differences like race, religion, gender, etc. And that really helps me a lot be able to bring that mindset back to my school, and just be able to be more inclusive. So yeah.
Well, I love the leadership. I think we can always use it at every age. So I want to definitely make sure that we get a chance to mention other partners that are involved and sponsors and just everybody that makes this come together, because I know last year there was a whole ballroom full of exhibitors and sponsors. And so tell us a little bit about what that's like and how does that help these young folks get a sense for the world around them as they grow up.
Well, we also wanted an opportunity for students to be able to explore career interests. They don't always have the opportunity to really navigate, what am I interested in? What kind of things am I good at? Who are the people in place in those things that I feel like I am good at that would be able to help me get to the next level? So we are also offering a workforce fair for the students in the convention center as well, and having partners from every kind of walk of life, and Monica can talk a little bit more about what partners are there, but really giving them not only jobs that will be there and career opportunities that will be there, but also what are the surrounding resources that students need to be able to access these opportunities. So I know personally one of the vendors is someone who's helping students get driver's license and helping them navigate that because they'll need transportation. So not only just having jobs there and potential careers, but also those roundabout resources as well.
Yeah, so Inspire Youth at Work is the brainchild or birthed out of the Capital Region Workforce Partnership, to which each of the localities, it's a regional, a part of Virginia Career Works, which is a state agency. Or state entity, excuse me. So working with CRWP, Capital Region Workforce Partnership, this Inspire Youth at Work, as Chloe says, gives students the opportunity to learn about jobs that they can even apply to this summer. As you know, in the state of Virginia, they can work as early as 15. My daughter worked at McDonald's at 15 and has just, as she's beginning to grow and cut her teeth and learning those workplace readiness skills, still honing back on that early work experience at McDonald's as she has continued on in progressing with her workforce career. So in addition to that, we have Chick-fil-A. I want to make sure we give a great plug for Chick-fil-A. I know our young people enjoyed I won't speak for Jordan, but I think our young people enjoyed the Chick-fil-A lunch that we provided last year. Our local Chick-fil-A vendors have been really, really helpful and willing to support because they know their workforce. Each of our area recreation and parks, as you think about what we need for summer camps and having camp counselors, these are great opportunities for teenagers to get those early workforce readiness skills. In addition to that, as Chloe mentioned, the wraparound supports. Mental health bubbled up as one of the topics not only out of the data that we had VCU MERT to do coming out of the event, but in the surveys. And then with, as Jordan mentioned, the Regional Youth Advisory Council, that is the group of young people that literally came together from the inaugural event that Chloe convenes these young people to say what did they want to see in the 2024 event. And mental health is one of those topics that continue to be of interest to our young people. Not only did they want facilitated discussions, but they also wanted applicable opportunity things that they could be taught to be those peer supports in the community to their friends. So they wanted to learn application as well. And I think we have all of that in this year's event.
Great. Well, Jordan, I want to give you a chance to chat about any kind of career trajectories that you have been thinking about. I know you're a couple of years away still, but any particular careers that you have in mind?
Well, my career that I want to go into would be law. I would like to be a civil rights attorney. So.
Anything you want to say about what motivated that, or what you kind of want to do specifically?
I would say a lot of the police brutality that affected like the 2020 pandemic and things like that, a lot of that really sparked my interest into law and specifically civil rights. So that was the main reason why I chose that.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1. Part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. We are talking about Teen Summit today, and we have just a few minutes left, so I want to give our guests the opportunity to talk a little bit about Richmond and the ideas that maybe were curated from the event, and maybe even inject the name of somebody that we can invite onto the show in the future. We've got a few minutes left, so if you want to maybe share some of that, and then let folks know where they can find out about Teen Summit.
Well, first and foremost, teensummitrva.com. Once again, teensummitrva.com. We have all of the vendors, experiences, everyone who will be a part of the day if you want to find out more information. Monica mentioned the Regional Youth Advisory Council that's been convening. they have been amazing in letting us know really what they want for the event, telling us what they don't want for the event, and making sure that it really is a good experience for them for the day. And I'll leave it to Monica to bring up a person. We have so many good people that are a part of this event, and as I'm talking about it, I'm getting a little bit emotional just because I'm just so excited about it coming all together. People are excited to volunteer for the event. They're excited to attend, to the point where, we did reach maximum, registration. And so I just think it's good for the community, and being there, it was just a feel-good experience to see students really get the opportunity, like Monica says, to just be.
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out to Will Melton and the Richmond Water, as well as Exponent 21, for your sponsorship and your support. Last year, teens walked around with these bottles all day. Did you keep yours? Did you refill it?
I think I do have mine still, actually.
So in addition to, being there with the Richmond Water and giving young people that experience, you also allowed them to share ideas on the idea wall around the America's Healthiest Cities. And I feel like that's so important to their future as well, is understanding what are some of those that contributes to mental health, it contributes to workforce, it contributes to just everyday living, right? And how they experience their neighborhoods, their communities, their state, their region, so giving them the opportunity to reflect and react to questions that prompts is what we call them in our podcast booth. That's one of the experiences with Teen Summit RVA. But you providing that prompt for them to think about how do they think about living healthy in their communities, their city, their region, their state. I think that is a level of consciousness that goes and fits so well with the theme of Teen Summit RVA. And what we're empowering them to do is to be our future.
Well, I'm excited to bring the ideas board back this year, and I welcome any ideas that maybe you shared or that you just have come to mind. What are some ways that we might be able to make our community healthier if we work together?
I think maybe bettering the food in public schools, maybe have more healthier options. Because I notice a lot of greasy foods, so.
That's a great idea. I haven't been to school for a long time, but I remember the pizza. That's always a pizza, and that's...
Yeah.
And that's something we hear from young people all the time. We host in Henrico a Student Government Day, and so with the diversity that we've had to just over the last several years, 136 languages spoken in Henrico County Public Schools. Not sure how many in Richmond and Chesterfield, but I know the definitely the demographics in each of our areas has shifted completely. So when we think about not just healthy foods, but healthy practices and cultural, foods and cultural practices. So I would say that to you as we're thinking about who could be a guest around, thinking about how we can be more conscious about how we're living in our city, is to provide that opportunity for some of our folks with diverse backgrounds. I think about Oscar Contreras with actually who hosts our Radio Poder show, AM radio, but just a connector in the Hispanic community, a trusted voice in the Hispanic community, and could probably lend some really good thoughts and ideas as to things, knowing that community as well as he does, embedded in that community as he is, be able to share some really good thoughts with you around the aspects of how do we help embolden our Latina, Latinx, there's so many different, Hispanic neighbors to be more healthy and in how they live in this city, this region, and this state. So that's the name drop, and that just came to me. It's so many names I could drop, but that one just came to me as we were talking about capitalizing on Jordan's comment about school food, but also, just sustainability and everyday common practices. Her saying that she refilled her water bottle and still have it. There's a level of consciousness with this generation that I don't think we had in our generation that will make all the difference in ensuring that we're healthier. They want to be outside. They want to, some, I know I have to get my 14-year-old off the video game, but being outside, being active, coming through the pandemic. We had to be outside. So hopefully that will, we will start to see more and more young people just want to go out and go for a walk and understand the mental health benefits of a nice walk.
Well, Jordan, Monica, Chloe, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a really insightful conversation, and ahead of this event, it's really exciting as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. Catch us each week here at 6 a.m., also on ESPNRichmond.com. Please also check our full episodes on YouTube and follow us on Instagram at America's Healthiest City. We'll catch you next week.